Black Girl Gamers, a video game consulting company that worked on Square Enix and Luminous Productions for Spoken, looks like they are engaging in discriminatory hiring practices while claiming they are the ones who are being harassed. Before we get into this, I'd like to ask you please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. Wrote this up over at That Park Place this afternoon. And this is what is going on with Black Girl Gamers. Back on February 19th, the organization appeared to post a job opportunity on X, limiting the applicants based on race and gender or sex. This is what they wrote. Looking for Black women, content creators that make Dungeons and Dragons content for some potential brand work, hit us up. So clearly looking for specific identity there in Black women content creators. Looks like discrimination to me by limiting based off of race and gender. Then, less than a month later, the organization claimed it was being harassed while not providing any evidence. This is what they posted. The amount of harassment we've had recently due to this Gamergate 2 is not surprising. Gamers that thought the industry revolved around them and their comforts are now realizing it doesn't. We've had emails, comments, and threats, but you know what? We're not going anywhere. Did not provide any evidence of said emails, comments, or threats. And this is probably why, because this is what they claim is harassment. That if you say you're not being harassed, that is harassment. Like, that's what they posted here. So they created a straw man response. You're not being harassed. And then wrote this, while simultaneously partaking in harassment is insane. So if you write you're not being harassed, they're basically saying you are harassing people. It's just twisted logic, mind melt, doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And then, as I noted above, though, this organization did consult with Square Enix on Forspoken. This is what their website says as to how involved they were with that game. Black Girl Gamers were hired to consult on Forspoken to provide insight on narrative and feedback on a pre-release build of the game that spanned from the gameplay experience to the portrayal of Frey as a female protagonist of Black descent, including topics such as colorism and texturism. This was an important consultation given that Frey is one of the first female protagonists of Black descent in the fantasy game genre. So it sounds like they were heavily involved in this game when it came to consulting on it. I mean, they're talking about consulting on everything from the gameplay experience to the portrayal of Frey. Interestingly, the game was a total stinker and lost Square Enix lots of money. So much so that they basically shut down Luminous Productions and brought it back into the fold at Square Enix. This is what Square Enix president and representative director Yosuke Matsudo had to say back in a February 2023 financial results briefing. He said, reviews of Forspoken, which we released on January 24, 2023, have been challenging. However, the game has also received positive feedback on its action features, including its parkour and combat capabilities. So it has yielded results that will lead to improvement of our development capabilities of other games in the future. He then discussed the game's sales, saying, that said, its sales have been lackluster. And while the performance of new titles with February and March release dates will be the ultimate determinant, we see considerable downside risk to our fiscal year 2023 earnings. Quarter three, I think is what he's referring to there, earnings. So putting the blame on the absolutely abysmal sales of Forspoken for basically destroying the company's Q3 earnings in fiscal year 2023. That's how abysmal this game did. It's currently on sale for like 70% off on Steam. It's like for like $25. I doubt people are still purchasing it. I didn't look at the Steam playlist or how many people are watching, but I guarantee you it's really, really low. So as I noted, the sales for the game were so bad, Square Enix announced that the game's developer, Luminous Productions, was being shut down and folded into their company. Luminous Productions announced its closure on X at the end of February. They were trying to make it sound like they were merging. They got shut down. This is what it like. The Luminous Productions account doesn't even exist on X anymore. It's like it's been completely deleted. But there was an archive, so I found this. You may have heard the news that Luminous Productions is merging with Square Enix beginning on May 1. Our talented team will join Square Enix to deliver new, innovative gaming experiences to players across the globe. Meaning they got shut down, and probably a lot of people got laid off too. Because usually when things like that happen, there's redundancies, and people are laid off for those redundancies. But if we go back to what Black Girl Gamers did, so just to be clear, that game was a total failure and lost Square Enix probably tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. Huge disaster by embracing this woke ESG DEI ideology. But if we go back to Black Girl Gamers, the organization shared what it offers via consultancy on its website. It says Black Girl Gamers is uniquely placed in the gaming industry. The intersection of our team, community, and experience allow us to offer a number of consulting services for clients within gaming, FMCG, and TV film industries. Our services range from aiding studios and developers in their game character development, consulting on go-to-market strategies, DEI recruiting strategies, influencer marketing strategies, and more. So the company is all about promoting DEI. They're clearly trying to get people involved at these companies that are DEI hires. And then obviously I think we can take from that they're clearly pushing the DEI agenda in game and character development, as well as the go-to market strategies. Clearly did not work for Forspoken whatsoever. We also have this interview that the company's CEO and founder, J.Ann Lopez, did back with Game Rant in April 2023. So around about a year ago. And she kind of describes what the organization does. She says, I'm the founder and CEO of Black Girl Gamers, which is a community-powered organization that specializes in heightening Black women's voices and equity in the gaming space. We've been doing that since 2015, originally starting as a Facebook group. Since then, we've been instrumental in helping change the narrative regarding diversity inclusion, showing content creators how to work with brands, and kind of changing some of the dynamics in the industry. So there you go, fully admitting exactly what she is doing, pushing diversity and inclusion, which is all just anti-white. She added, initially, a lot of content creators didn't know how to work with brands on a bigger scale. And so a lot of them have done that and gone out to their networks, and we've taught them essentially. The way we work is through events, consulting, community content, and talent brokering. We also have a niche agency internally to help broker Black women for opportunities, sponsorships, campaigns, TV, etc. So again, looks like they potentially have discriminatory hiring practices. Obviously, I'm not a lawyer and I'm not familiar with UK law. Maybe they are allowed to discriminate over there in the UK, but I'm pretty sure you cannot do that here in the United States. There's a reason why the EEOC has filed there's an EEOC complaint filed by a law firm against the Walt Disney Company for embracing these DEI policies, and are now claiming that they were discriminating against certain people, white people. So in the same interview, she also admitted how she would alter games while also expressing how she's annoyed at white characters. She was asked, were there any video games that made you wish that their character was a woman of color or a Black woman? Lopez responded, I would flip the whole premise of a number of games, especially the ones that go into countries and get their relics. I would flip that on their head. That's always been a dream of mine in general. But to be honest, no, I'm not averse to having white characters. I'm just annoyed at how prevalent they are. So she's not averse to white characters. She just is really annoyed by it. Okay. I totally believe you. It's like literally worm tongue speaking out of both sides of your mouth there. Jeez. In just one sentence too, right? She then would claim she's not interested in race replacing characters, but admitted it works in some ways. So again, the worm tongue stuff, right? Speaking out of both sides of her mouth, which belies her true agenda, right? She says, I wouldn't want to change an existing character that I can think of at the moment. One of my favorite games, The Witcher 3, is predominantly based on a Polish novel. I have seen no need for me to change that main character. What I want is more stories that are authentic to Black, brown, and non-white people of color to be reflected in. I don't want to necessarily have to race bend an existing character for me. That's not the epitome of representation. It works in some ways and other ways. I want some original content. So she's literally saying like, yeah, I don't know if I really want that, but it does work. It does work in some ways. So if they're going to do it, I'm not going to be opposed to it. And then her animus against white characters in games also surfaced while discussing Apex Legends and Overwatch. She said, I see diverse, underrepresented characters in games like Apex who have kind of covered a lot of bases. There are also games like Overwatch. Interestingly, Apex Legends just laid off a bunch of people. So that strategy clearly not working for them either. Nevertheless, she goes on and says, there are also games like Overwatch, which I had initially had a problem with, and they seem to be picking up their slack now, but still as a game that has a majority of white characters, I still don't understand how you can call yourself a diverse game and have a majority of white characters. So clearly upset with white characters. Because it's all about skin tone. It's all about skin tone for someone like this. It's nothing to do with character's personality, nothing to do with how the character acts, how the character plays. It's all about what they look like. But a lot of them do it right. A lot of them that do it right are games where you pick from a roster. She then made it more clear that she just wants to get rid of white characters when she was asked, has there been any video games that you've seen that have gone in the right direction in terms of diversity? And she says Apex is definitely one that's done quite well. The intention is there, and the same with Overwatch. Overwatch didn't have a black female character for so long. And they had 6 white characters that were male, 7 white characters that were female. And I was like, where's the black women? Out of the 2, I would pick Apex because obviously they represent me. And that's what I'm here for, really and truly. Deathloop was also great, and Ghost of Tsushima. I'm not Japanese, so I cannot speak to the cultural accuracy, but I really enjoyed that game. Again, and then she talks about this Brazilian game that she played, or I think I don't know if there was a Brazilian game or Indian game. She's talked about 2 of those. Called Raji is another one as well. So that is what she had to say. I do find it interesting that she says that Ghost of Tsushima was great, but she can't comment on it culturally when that's like her whole brand is commenting on this from her identity as like as a black female. It's just like, well, if you're going to be consistent, maybe you should try and be consistent, but she can't because it's all about just her and projecting herself on to the video games. Just utterly ridiculous stuff here. But clearly, there are a lot of these consulting companies that are bilking these video game studios for lots and lots of money when their games eventually bomb out. I mean, obviously, Sweet Baby Inc. has been massive in the news, covered numerous stories around that. You can just point to Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, an abysmal failure, probably lost upwards of $100 million for Warner Brothers games. And then obviously we have Forspoken here, where probably lost around 100 million more as well. And what is kind of one of the connecting factors, it's hiring these DEI consulting firms to work on the game, and ends up being a massive flop that gamers are not interested in. But let me know what you guys make of Black Girl Gamers' actions here. They're what looks to me like discrimination in hiring practices, and then their claim that they are being harassed when people are telling them you're not being harassed. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, but to always speak the truth.